views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Bronxnet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Next on the Bronx Journal, the National Autism Society's Bronx chapter, a documentary on the Cocaine Cowboys, the Lehman College theater program, and fitness tips from 2 experts.
You're watching the Bronx Journal, the Bronxnet television edition of the multilingual community newspaper, published by the students and faculty of the Journalism, Communication, and Theater Department at Lehman College. In print and on television, the Bronx Journal covers the issues concerning the people of the Bronx. Do you want to know what's going on in the Bronx? Are you interested in Bronx politics, sports, and entertainment? Are you interested in Bronx personalities? Do you want to keep up with the latest business or cultural trends? In the Bronx Journal, we have the answers.
Welcome to the Bronx Journal. I'm your guest host, Jennifer Delgado. Parenting doesn't come easy, especially when having a child with a disability. Autism is very hard for parents unaware of the disorder and for the child that cannot always communicate. Parents are finding it harder to obtain resources that can help them and their children. Joining us today is parent Lisa Quinones, and representing the Autism Society's Bronx chapter is Vice President Monica Sanabria and caseworker Margaret Finn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, what is autism, Monica? If you could just shed light on that for us.
Basically, it's a neurobiological disorder that affects the development of the child in a variety of domains, whether it's communication, right, socialization, so that you might have behavior management issues, you might have sensory issues, things might seem louder to them, or colors might be brighter, more intense than what a typically functioning child would experience.
Right. And now, Lisa, what are some of the signs that you saw in your own child?
When my son was about 18 months, I kind of had some suspicions that there may have been something wrong. He wasn't talking, he didn't really point, and I just felt something was off. So I went to my pediatrician, and I got the response, just, you know, right, boys are slower, wait until he's 2. And I waited until he was 2 and had him evaluated, and 3 months later he was diagnosed with autistic disorder and global developmental delay. And
are those the symptoms that you usually see when you're dealing with cases of autism?
Yes, usually there's delays in speech. You might have children who have very low affect. They're not very responsive emotionally. So a parent might try to be affectionate with the child. Right. The child might withdraw, pull back, but that's because they may have a sensitivity to touch. That's why it's really important to kind of hone in on some of those sensory issues. So that's pretty typical.
Really? Mm-hmm. And how do you cope with having a child with autism?
It has been difficult, and it was especially difficult in the beginning for me and my husband, but we had a lot of early intervention services, and we really paired with all the therapists that came into our home, and we've just accepted it. We've made peace with it. We're able to see the growth that he has made in since his diagnosis, and we don't take a moment for granted. So everything, like every little milestone, is a big deal for us. I mean, if the first time he pointed his finger, we were all like jumping up and down and clapping. So it's we take every moment and we just celebrate it.
That's great. And now, Margaret, what have been your experiences with autism, and like what do you do, especially with the Bronx Society chapter?
In our program, Monica does the intake, and she assigns the cases to me that are more suited to my specialty with children.
Right.
So I basically deal with the family as a whole. We do an intake and find out what are the concerns of the parents, what are the concerns that they have for their child, either in academic or just linking them with the appropriate services. So I look at the whole family, the whole aspect of the child, and we work piece by piece, educational, and outside services in school, outside of school. So whatever the disability or whatever the issues, we try to address every single one of them for the family.
And what kind of schools do these, like if you have a kid with autism, can they attend regular school with this disability, or is there something?
Let me field that one.
Right.
There's a variety of types of schools. You have schools that are in community-based schools where it might be an autism program within a school. So you might have 6 students, 1 teacher, 2 paras. You also have private school settings for children who need something more restrictive. You also have collaborative team teaching where a child might be in a class of, let's say, 24, but may have push-in services like speech and language and such. So the idea is to make an assessment of the child, see what best meets his needs for learning, and then try to adapt the program to meet that.
Right. So what type of therapies are there for children with autism?
Basically, applied behavioral analysis, speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Those are the basics for kids who who are on the autism spectrum. They also have sensory gyms now. Some of the schools have those too, to work on those sensory issues. The sensory issues is something that they've been researching a little bit more, because we're trying to find out what's causing the behavior. And a lot of times that can be tied to the sensory issue. So if there's a lot of noise in a classroom, the child might be striking and lashing out because it is so noisy.
Right.
So now we're kind of focusing, there's more research being done on sensory issues. So out of that, we're coming up with more therapeutic